Most people have no idea what's actually in their chocolate. Heavy metals at levels that exceed safety limits, fake ingredients dressed up in premium packaging, child labor sourcing that's been flagged for 30 years with almost nothing done about it. We investigated 18 brands. 11 of them have serious problems. 7 of them are genuinely worth buying. And the worst one on this list isn't what most people would expect. Let's get into it, starting with number 11. Number 11. Chocolove. This is the one health-conscious shoppers reach for. The packaging is warm. The branding is romantic. There's a love poem printed inside every wrapper. It sits in the natural grocery aisle, priced above mass-market options. For a lot of people trying to make a better chocolate choice, Chocolove is exactly where they land. And honestly, the dark chocolate tastes good. The 70% bar has real depth. The 88% extreme dark delivers the intensity that serious chocolate fans look for. But Consumer Reports tested Chocolove's dark chocolate line for heavy metal content. The 70% strong dark came in at 152% of California's maximum allowable dose level for lead. The 88% extreme dark reached 240%. Both bars also tested high for cadmium. Here's why that matters. Lead and cadmium don't flush out of your body quickly. They accumulate over years, sometimes decades. In children, that exposure is directly linked to impaired brain development and lower IQ. In adults, it connects to nervous system damage, elevated blood pressure, and immune suppression. At just 1 ounce of the extreme dark per day, you're already past the threshold regulators consider safe. There are also persistent, unresolved allegations of child labor in Chocolove's cocoa supply chain. The brand isn't the worst offender on this list, but it hasn't been transparent enough to earn a clean record either. If you've been reaching for Chocolove as your healthy dark chocolate choice, the test results don't support that. The next brand has been telling an even older story, and it stopped being true in 2010. Number 10. Cadbury. Ask anyone who grew up eating Cadbury dairy milk when it changed. Most of them will tell you exactly 2010. That was the year Kraft Foods acquired the company for $19.6 billion and handed day-to-day operations to Mondelez International. To recover that cost, Mondelez did what large food conglomerates typically do. They cut into the product. Factories in the United Kingdom, where food safety standards are among the strictest in the world, were shut down. Production moved to Poland and Egypt. Shrinkflation followed. Then came the ingredient changes that actually altered what the chocolate is. Mondelez reduced the minimum cocoa solids percentage and replaced what was removed with shea butter, palm oil, and more sugar. Palm oil is high in saturated and trans fats. Combined with elevated sugar content, that formulation is associated with increased risk of fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, and metabolic syndrome. The chocolate that once melted cleanly in your mouth now delivers an ingredient profile your body manages very differently. It's still in the same purple wrapper. The wrapper didn't change. That's the part that catches most people off guard. The next brand didn't bother pretending to be a chocolate company at all, and that somehow makes the picture worse. Number 9. Nestle. Here's the reframe that changes how you see Nestle chocolate. Nestle is not a chocolate company. It's a global food manufacturing conglomerate that produces chocolate-flavored products. Kit Kat, Crunch, Aero. These aren't crafted chocolates. They're engineered for industrial scale, shelf stability, and mass distribution. Cocoa is a component, not a priority. Before we even get to ingredients, there's a sourcing problem that's followed Nestle for 30 years. Human rights organizations have repeatedly documented child labor in the company's West African cocoa supply chain. 3 decades ago, Nestle publicly pledged to eliminate it. That pledge hasn't been fulfilled. The company has frameworks, programs, and sustainability language, and as of the most recent independent investigations, still cannot guarantee child labor wasn't involved in harvesting the cocoa in its products. Then look at what's actually in a Kit Kat. The ingredients read sugar, wheat flour, non-fat milk, and then chocolate in 4th position. In a product marketed as chocolate, the actual chocolate is the 4th most prominent ingredient. Real chocolate starts with cocoa. What Nestle sells starts with sugar. That's not what most shoppers think they're paying for. The next brand once had real Swiss heritage. Then Mondelez got involved, and eventually the mountain on the packaging had to go. Number 8. Toblerone. The triangular yellow box in the airport duty-free. The Matterhorn on the front. A premium price that signals you're buying something authentic. Here's what that price is actually buying now. Mondelez International controls Toblerone, And since taking over, virtually everything that defined the product has been quietly changed. The honey and almond nougat, the bar's signature texture and flavor contrast, has been progressively reduced. What fills that space in many current versions is primarily glucose syrup and dextrose, cheap filler ingredients. The texture shifted from crisp and distinct to gummy and sweet, with little of what made the bar recognizable. In 2022, the Matterhorn image disappeared from Toblerone packaging. The reason? Mondelez had moved primary production to Slovakia, and Swiss law prohibits products not manufactured in Switzerland from using the Matterhorn as a national symbol. The packaging was quietly signaling the product had changed before anyone officially acknowledged it. On sourcing, Toblerone claims 100% sustainable cocoa. Independent investigations into Mondelez's broader supply chain tell a different story. Mondelez has one of the worst documented records on child labor in the global chocolate industry. You thought you were paying a premium for Swiss chocolate. You were paying for a Slovakian product in a cleaned-up wrapper with a sustainability badge that no independent body has verified. The next brand went a step further. It wrapped mediocre ingredients in gold foil and charged a luxury price for it. Number 7. Ferrero Rocher. The gold foil, the pyramid display box, the individual wrapping on each piece. Over $5 for 5 ounces. Everything about the presentation signals premium Italian confectionery. When Michele Ferrero created this product in 1979, a whole hazelnut sat at the center of each piece. That was the signature. In many current production runs, that whole hazelnut has been replaced by hazelnut pieces, fragments, and rejects that don't meet quality standards for other applications. Compressed to fill the space where a real ingredient used to be. The waxy quality consumers have noticed in recent years isn't imaginary. Ferrero has reduced cocoa solids and increased palm oil. Natural vanilla has been replaced by soy lecithin and synthetic vanillin, a petroleum-derived compound designed to approximate vanilla flavor. Each 12.5 grams ball contains 5.3 grams of fat and 4.6 grams of sugar. In a product this small, that's a lot. You're paying a premium price for fat, sugar, and synthetic flavoring dressed in foil. The luxury is in the packaging. Everything inside has been systematically cost-optimized away. And the next brand built the same model, just with a gold box, a Belgian story, and a lawsuit that took 3 years to settle. Number 6. Godiva. The gold box, the velvet ribbon, the near-universal shorthand for gifted luxury in the United States. A price that starts at $25 and rises quickly. Here's the reality behind the ribbon. Godiva's American products are not made in Belgium. They haven't been for a long time. In 2019, a false advertising lawsuit was filed, specifically over the brand's Belgian heritage claims. The case took until 2022 to settle, and the payout structure made individual consumer compensation extremely difficult to actually collect. Open a box of the premium assortment and read the labels. Vegetable oils appear where cocoa butter belongs. VGPR, polyglycerol polyricinoleate, a cheap emulsifier used to replace cocoa butter, is in the formula. Artificial flavors stand in for real ingredients. Consumer Reports also identified elevated lead levels in Godiva's dark chocolate products. $25 or more for heavy metal contamination, cheap emulsifiers, and artificial flavoring. The gold box is not a quality signal. It's a container for something considerably more ordinary. And the brand's instincts haven't improved. Godiva once sued a small pub in Coventry, England, the actual historical birthplace of Lady Godiva, for using the name. Consumers responded immediately. Neither episode seems to have changed the approach. The next brand positions itself as the smart, affordable option. But for the specific customers it targets, the ingredient profile tells a different story. We're about halfway through the skip list. If this breakdown is helping you shop smarter, a quick like helps more people find it. Number 5. Russell Stover, the affordable option, sold primarily in pharmacies, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid. There's something quietly telling about where this brand lives. The chocolate base Russell Stover uses is consistently ranked among the lowest quality in the industry. But the sugar-free line is where this becomes a real concern, specifically for the consumers it's designed for. Take the sugar-free mint patties. The ingredients include maltitol, an artificially produced sugar alcohol, along with palm kernel oil, hydrogenated palm oil, and sorbitol. Maltitol is marketed as a lower-calorie alternative to sugar, but it still causes meaningful blood glucose spikes. For diabetic consumers buying this specifically to avoid that problem, the ingredient profile directly contradicts the label promise. And maltitol, combined with sorbitol, is a documented laxative at relatively modest amounts. For some consumers, the digestive consequences are significant. The standard sugar-based products rely heavily on corn syrup as the primary sweetener. Across the line, ingredient choices consistently reflect one priority: cost reduction, not what goes into the product. The sugar-free label implies a smarter, safer choice. The ingredient list says otherwise. The next brand charges a premium price and then told a courtroom its own customers were wrong to believe the label. Number 4. Lindt Excellence, the premium office gift. Sleek packaging, excellence printed right on the front. The kind of product that signals taste and discernment without requiring much thought. Consumer Reports tested 28 chocolate brands for heavy metal contamination. Lindt was on that list. Lawsuits followed from consumers who had purchased Lindt Excellence dark chocolate based on its quality positioning. Lindt's legal defense is worth paying attention to. The brand argued in court that its own label language, expertly crafted, excellence, finest ingredients, should not be interpreted as factual product claims. Lindt described this language as exaggerated advertising and told the court that no reasonable consumer should rely on it as a guarantee of quality. Lindt argued in a courtroom that a customer who believed the words on the packaging was not a reasonable buyer. If the quality language on their labels can't be trusted, the same logic applies to their sustainability and child labor prevention program, a program that has never been independently verified by any third-party certifying organization. Consumer Reports specifically recommends avoiding Lindt Excellence dark chocolate. But what happened in that courtroom is a different category of problem. A company that tells a judge its own customers were wrong to trust, it has shown you something important about how it views the relationship. The next brand controls a third of the entire American chocolate market. The lead numbers alone don't fully capture what's been happening there. Number 3. Hershey's. This is the brand that runs the American market. Hershey's controls 33.5% of U.S. chocolate sales. No other company comes close. That dominance is built on recognition, nostalgia, and decades of shelf presence, not on what's actually in the product. The lead content in Hershey's special dark mildly sweet chocolate came in at 265% of California's maximum allowable dose level. Not close to the limit, not double, 265%. That's the result of years of reformulation and cost reduction, producing a product that exceeds legal heavy metal thresholds by a factor of merely 3. On child labor, Hershey's has faced sustained allegations and consumer lawsuits over cocoa sourced from the Ivory Coast, where child slavery in the cocoa industry is a documented ongoing crisis. The company reported $11.6 billion in revenue in a recent fiscal year. Independent investigators have consistently described its responses inadequate relative to both the scale of the problem and the financial resources Hershey's has to address it. There's also the flavor itself. Consumers outside the United States regularly describe Hershey's milk chocolate as tasting sour or off. This isn't a cultural preference difference. It's a documented chemical outcome. Hershey's uses a process called lipolysis in its milk preparation, which generates butyric acid, the same compound responsible for the smell of Parmesan cheese and vomit. The distinctive tang that sets Hershey's apart from virtually every other milk chocolate producer in the world is a direct consequence of an industrial processing decision. America's largest chocolate company has the most resources and the most to answer for. What it did to its most recognizable brand is even harder to look past. Number 2. Reese's. Brad Reese is the grandson of H.B. Reese, the man who invented the Reese's peanut butter cup. A few years ago, Brad Reese published an open letter describing what Hershey's had done to his grandfather's recipe. He called it ingredient fraud. He wasn't being dramatic. Hershey's replaced the real milk chocolate coating on Reese's peanut butter cups with what the industry calls a chocolatey coating. This isn't a small adjustment. Chocolatey coating is a compound made from vegetable oils, additives, and a trace of cocoa-derived ingredients. Under FDA standards, it cannot legally be called chocolate because real chocolate requires cocoa butter, and this product replaces cocoa butter with cheaper hydrogenated vegetable oils. Hershey's also replaced genuine peanut butter in several Reese's product lines with a peanut butter-style cream. Not a lower-cost peanut butter, an engineered substitute built to resemble it. When this became public, Hershey's initially denied the changes. As evidence mounted, the company acknowledged the reformulations and stated it would return to higher quality ingredients by 2027. That commitment hasn't been fulfilled yet. The original Reese's formula, before any of this, was already high in sugar, saturated fat, and additives. The compound coating and style cream version compounds that profile considerably. What was once a straightforward indulgence is now built from fake chocolate and imitation peanut butter in the same packaging at the same price. So the problem isn't just the ingredient swap. It's that nothing on the outside tells you the inside changed. If Reese's is fake chocolate sold as real chocolate, what do you call a product that doesn't even attempt to claim it's chocolate? Number 1. Palmer. The Easter Bunny, the Christmas Santa, the Halloween character. Products that generations of families have handed to their children every single holiday season, under the assumption they were buying chocolate. Here's the fact that changes everything. Palmer doesn't call these products chocolate. The brand uses choco-flavored candy, or chocolatey, across most of its product line. Look carefully at any Palmer packaging, and you'll find the word chocolate is almost never used by the manufacturer, because Palmer cannot legally use it. The FDA's definition of chocolate requires cocoa butter as the primary fat. Palmer uses hydrogenated palm oil and palm kernel oil instead. By definition, that makes it a compound confection, a candy that approximates chocolate flavor because it contains alkalized cocoa but is not chocolate. The ingredient list confirms it. Sugar first, hydrogenated palm oil, and palm kernel oil second, then PGPR, artificial vanillin, and cocoa processed with alkali. The waxy texture and lingering chemical aftertaste are not production flaws. They're what this product actually is. Part of the confusion comes from retail labeling. Some stores and online listings call Palmer products chocolate even when the manufacturer doesn't. But the core issue is this. Millions of people have been handing these products to their children, believing they were giving them chocolate, when the product is a hydrogenated oil candy with cocoa flavoring. And for the price Palmer charges, you're paying for palm oil and PGPR, ingredients associated with trans fat accumulation and documented cardiovascular effects. Palmer sits at number 1, not just because of what it contains, but because an entire business model has been built around a product that doesn't meet the legal definition of the thing people believe they're buying. That's the skip list. Now, here's what actually held up. These 7 brands made the list because of what they put into the product, where they source it from, and what independent testing found. Starting from solid options, building toward the best. Best option number 7, Theo Chocolate. Theo was the first certified organic and fair trade bean-to-bar chocolate maker in the United States. Bean-to-bar means the brand controls the entire process, from raw cacao sourcing through finished product, rather than buying an industrial chocolate base and reformulating it. Their 85% dark chocolate bar contains 4 ingredients: cocoa beans, cane sugar, cocoa butter, and ground vanilla bean. That's the complete list. No emulsifiers, no preservatives, nothing that needs explaining. For consumers who want variety, Theo produces flavored options including organic brown rice quinoa crunch and salted cashew and coconut, all without the additive loads common in flavored products from larger manufacturers. Theo maintains multi-year direct sourcing partnerships with farmers in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Peru, and Ecuador. Long-term relationships create real accountability. You can trace where the cacao comes from because the brand makes that information available. Their range has earned gold and silver recognition at the International Chocolate Awards. Ethical sourcing and exceptional flavor don't have to be in conflict. Theo proves that consistently. The next brand proves it too. From a woodworking shop in Northern California. Best option number 6, Dick Taylor Craft Chocolate. Two Craftsmen, a woodworking shop in Eureka, California, 2010. That's the origin. It matters because it tells you how this brand approaches what it makes. Chocolate as a craft, not a production output. The dark chocolate bars typically contain 1 or 2 ingredients alongside cacao, cane sugar and cocoa butter in some varieties. Some bars skip cocoa butter entirely, letting the natural fat in the cacao itself carry the bar. That minimalism produces a richer, more complex result than most industrial processing can match, because Dick Taylor uses cacao rather than heavily processed cocoa. The bars retain significantly higher levels of polyphenols and flavonols, the antioxidant compounds behind chocolate's documented cardiovascular benefits, including improved blood flow, reduced stroke risk, lower blood pressure, and reduce cellular oxidative stress. That's not marketing language. That's what minimal processing actually preserves. Co-founder Dustin Taylor personally visits the farms the company sources from. That level of direct oversight is genuinely rare and provides accountability that a certification badge alone can't replicate. The premium is around $6 per ounce. For regular dark chocolate consumption, it's one of the cleanest, most nutritionally sound options available. The next brand has been doing this for 174 years, and it's the only mainstream name that made the Consumer Reports safe list twice. Best option number 5, Ghirardelli. 174 years in the chocolate business, and the track record backs it up. Consumer Reports identified Ghirardelli as one of only 4 brands whose dark chocolate fell within California's safety limits for heavy metals. It was the only brand to place 2 products on that safe list. Both the 72% cacao and the 86% cacao intense dark tested well within acceptable thresholds. Something specific stood out in the data. The 86% bar showed lower heavy metal readings than the 72% bar. For most brands Consumer Reports tested, higher cacao percentages meant higher metal levels. Ghirardelli runs the opposite direction. That's not accidental. It reflects something deliberate in how the company sources and processes its cacao. The nutritional case for the 86% bar is also real. High cacao dark chocolate is a meaningful source of magnesium, which supports prevention of chronic fatigue, reduces type 2 diabetes risk, and contributes to bone density, and iron, which supports immune function. Ghirardelli is widely available, accessibly priced relative to craft alternatives, and the 86% intense dark is the specific product worth reaching for. It's one of the only mass-market dark chocolates you can buy with genuine confidence. The next brand is a different level, the one professional pastry chefs and Michelin-starred restaurants have relied on for over a century. Best option number 4, Valrhona. Comparing Valrhona to a grocery store bar isn't quite a fair comparison. These products aren't competing for the same thing. Valrhona has been the reference standard for professional pastry chefs, Michelin-starred restaurants, and serious confectioners for more than 100 years. When culinary professionals need chocolate they can rely on for consistency, flavor depth, and ethical sourcing, Valrhona is consistently the answer. The brand works exclusively with single-origin cacao from Venezuela, Madagascar, and Ecuador. Suppliers are required to meet documented standards covering farming practices, environmental stewardship, and deforestation prevention, and receive fair market wages in return. The supply chain has genuine structural transparency. The Guanaja, Valrhona's signature blend, is among the most acclaimed dark chocolates produced anywhere. It melts in stages, releasing layers of flavor sequentially. That's not something industrial processing can replicate. Valrhona starts at roughly $4 per ounce and reaches $23 for certain gift collections. One square delivers more actual chocolate experience than an entire mass-market bar. The next brand gets everything right at a price that doesn't require a special occasion to justify it. Best option number 3, Alter Eco. USDA certified organic, fair trade certified, non-GMO project verified, carbon neutral, compostable packaging. Rainforest protection contributions built into every purchase. Alter Eco has built the full picture of responsible production and consistently follows through on it. The Dark Blackout 85% has collected more awards in the mass-accessible dark chocolate category than virtually any competitor. Ingredient list: cacao beans, cocoa butter, raw cane sugar, vanilla beans, no palm oil, no refined sugar, no artificial preservatives. The result is rich and smooth with natural sweetness, and none of the harshness that poorly processed dark chocolate often delivers. Worth noting, Consumer Reports initially flagged Alter Eco for cadmium. The brand responded by identifying and shifting its sourcing regions, specifically selecting cacao from areas with lower naturally occurring soil cadmium. Current products are within international safety limits, and the mineral content is naturally occurring, not the result of industrial contamination. That response matters because it shows how the brand actually operates when a problem surfaces. At approximately $1.88 per ounce, Alter Eco is the best value for organic, ethically sourced, clean ingredient dark chocolate available right now. The final 2 brands are in a different class, starting with one that tastes unlike anything else on this list. Quick note before the top 2. If this investigation has helped you, a like goes a long way. Now the final 2 brands. Best option number 2. Taza chocolate. Taza is unlike anything else here, possibly unlike anything else in American chocolate production. Taza uses traditional Mexican stone grinding methods, called molinos, to process their cacao. The result is intentionally grainy and gritty. If you've only ever eaten smooth conch chocolate, the first bite will genuinely surprise you. The texture is different in a way that takes a moment to adjust to. And that difference is the point. Because Taza doesn't over-conch or industrially refine its cacao, you taste the bean closer to its original state than almost any commercially available chocolate. The company calls this perfectly unrefined, and it's accurate in the best possible sense. You get the full cacao experience along with maximum retention of the polyphenols, flavonols, and enzymes that make high-quality dark chocolate genuinely beneficial. Taza is USDA Organic certified and Direct Trade certified. Direct trade typically means higher wages for farmers and more direct accountability than standard fair trade structures. Consumer Reports rated Taza as the second safest dark chocolate they tested for heavy metal content, which makes it specifically appropriate for children and pregnant women, who carry the lowest exposure tolerance of anyone. At roughly $2.28 per ounce, about $5.70 per bar, it's priced to reflect real quality without being inaccessible. The top spot on this list is where Consumer Reports' own testing pointed, and the reasons go beyond safety. Best option number 1. Mass market. When Consumer Reports published their 2023 dark chocolate safety rankings, Mass Market came out first for low heavy metal content. People who had never heard of the brand started looking for it the same week. What they found wasn't just the cleanest chocolate on the market, it was one of the best tasting. Complete ingredient list, organic cacao, organic cane sugar, organic vanilla beans. That's everything. No artificial sweeteners, no refined sugar, no preservatives, no emulsifiers, nothing that needs a second read. The flavor is bright and fruity. There's a clean snap when you break the bar, the kind experienced chocolate eaters immediately recognize as well-tempered, high-quality chocolate. This isn't a bar you eat without paying attention. The flavor evolves as it melts. The finish is clean and doesn't linger in the way cheap compound chocolate does. Mast lists its sourcing farms on its website, giving buyers direct visibility into where the cacao originates. Heavy metal levels across the product line are among the lowest Consumer Reports tested. At $4 per ounce, it sits at exactly the intersection of what good chocolate should be. Low in toxic metals, certified organic, ethically sourced, and genuinely, measurably excellent. Here's the short version of everything. The brands on the skip list share a pattern. Cheap fats, palm oil, hydrogenated vegetable oils, palm kernel oil replacing cocoa butter. Sourcing practices that can't be independently verified or that investigations have already discredited. And marketing language, luxury, excellence, Swiss, Belgian, finest ingredients with no verifiable connection to what's actually inside. The 7 brands on the right side did the opposite. Cocoa in the primary position, sourcing transparency that goes beyond a logo. Heavy metal levels that don't need a legal disclaimer. Next time you're standing in front of the chocolate shelf, the question isn't whether the branding looks premium. Ask what the first ingredient is. Ask whether the fat is cocoa butter or palm oil. Ask whether the label says chocolatey or chocolate. That single distinction is the difference between actual chocolate and a commodity product wearing the language of something worth eating. If this video helped you make a better choice next time you're shopping, passing it along to someone who buys chocolate regularly is the most useful thing you can do with it.